ready to make some jewelweed and plantain salve, and we're in the middle of August right now, and a lot of the bloom has gone off the jewelweed, but you can see here's one, and they have a yellow or an orange bloom. And if you watched any of my other videos, I have showed you how to identify jewelweed with the very skin-like texture of the leaves, the beautiful little bloom that's on it with a translucent stem. And it usually grows in big thickets of it, you'll see at a time. So you'll need to gather quite a bit of jewelweed and plantain, enough to fill a medium-sized crock pot, and then we'll go from there. I thought we better go ahead and identify some plantain. It's growing in everybody's yard unless you're one of those people that have a pristine lawn. And it starts, of course, from very small plant to where it's not mowed, it can get quite large. So this is actually the plantain leaves, and it has these little seeds that come out in the center. So you want to pick a good bit of that, enough to fill your crock pot half full. So probably a couple, probably about maybe 4 quarts pressed down, and that should be enough. Okay, you can see this is my medium-sized crock pot. I filled this clear to the brim with the jewelweed and the plantain when it was fresh. If I had to, I bent the stems, you know, to push it down into the crock pot. And you'd be surprised, it will hold quite a bit of plantain and jewelweed. So filling it to the brim, pushing it down in, pouring over it 2 cups of olive oil. And then as it started to heat up, I would take a potato masher, and you can see here that it has, in probably 3 hours, cooked from clear up here. It has cooked down into the olive oil and releasing all the healing oils from the plantain and jewelweed. And I'm going to go ahead and let it just sit in that oil for a couple more hours at least. And then after that's done, the next step will be I'll strain that out. I'll show you how I do that. And we'll go ahead and add some vitamin E. We'll mix it in with melted beeswax and pour it in our jars. Okay, after I've turned off the crock pot and let it cool down for a while, I picked up all the plantain and the jewelweed, and I put it in a strainer. And then I'm going to push out as much of the oils as I can with a potato masher or whatever you can find to do that. And then I'm going to take rubber gloves and squeeze out as much as I can get out of it. You can see that I've strained all the jewelweed and plantain, and then after I strained it in a nice little strainer, after cooled, I put on rubber gloves and I squeezed it. And then I strained it one more time into another bowl and poured it into a cup. And you can see the olive oil has gone from a yellowish clear into a really dark green. That you know, shows that you have gotten a lot of the oils from the plant into the olive oil that you'll be making your salve from. So next step will be mix it with the other oils and pour it in our jars. Okay, I've brought the olive oil and the jewelweed with the plantain in it out here in the kitchen. What I'm going to do at this time, I'm going to go ahead and put a teaspoon of vitamin E in it, which will help preserve it. And I've got out all my clean little jars and containers. I'm going to spray those down with some alcohol that I keep readily available to do that, so that they're nice and clean. And in the meantime, I've got a double boiler going, and I'm melting down my beeswax. So as soon as that gets done, we'll go ahead and show you the last procedure. All right, you want to put your olive oil mixture in a pan or a bowl that you can put on a low heat, and you want to bring that temperature up just to warm. It's boiling, but I'm going to turn it down. run it so when you pour in your beeswax, that it stays melted and doesn't solidify when it hits that. Then in a double boiler, or you can do it like I'm doing it in a jar with a boiling water around it. You go ahead and start melting your beeswax. And when that gets all melted, I'm going to then add it to the olive oil mixture and till I can whip it into a creamy consistency. And then we're going to put it over here in our sterile jars. Okay, sometimes to get the consistency just what you want, and you'll have to add a little extra olive oil or a little extra beeswax. We've got all the melted beeswax in here now, and you can kind of test the consistency of the lotion by where it has solidified on the corners, and see if that's kind of what you want. And if you want it a little softer, add a little more of the olive oil. If you want it a little harder, add a little more of the beeswax. So I'm going to kind of whip this as it cools, and we'll see what we have. Okay, I've let my mixture cool down, the 2 cups olive oil, and in order to get this consistency, which is just like a nice smooth paste or icing like consistency, it takes about 7 tablespoons of beeswax, and you may play around with it. You may want it a little harder, a little softer, but for the 2 cups olive oil, it'll take just about seven tablespoons to get it this soft texture. If you want it harder, of course, use a little more, softer a little less. But I've started filling my jars, and we're just about finished. Well, here's the finished product, the jewelweed plantain salve. And there's 2 different consistencies here. It has the same amount of olive oil in it. This one, however, was whipped, and this one was just poured in, you know, when it was hot. This one has a little more beeswax in it to make it a little harder for, say, lip balm or something of that nature, whereas these are much softer. That's more like a nice creamy texture, and this will be the same way.